Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Hey, we've got a really special guest with us today. We've got Tennille Thorne. Tennille, thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hey, before we get started here, to hear more about Tennille's story, we've got a very, very special guest co-host in the studio today. And actually, she's going to be the co-host, not the guest co-host, because our guest co-host is busy with some appointments. So my lovely wife, Jeananne Richards. Hey, babe.
Hi.
Man, that's the first time I've said that in a show. Hey, babe, what's up? How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing today, hon?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for wanting to be here.
I'm honored.
Yeah, she's been in the studio before just to listen. And when we leave, she goes, I have such a hard time not wanting to chime in. And she's been getting more comfortable with things, which is really, really good to see. And so, yeah, it's great to have you here.
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. It's great to be here. There we go.
Awesome. All right, so let's get this show rolling. I'm going to read a little bio about Tennille. So my name is Tennille Thorne. My husband calls me TT. Now, I didn't know that. And Tennille and I, we've known each other for a while.
Wow.
So if I would have known that when we were at the chamber, I would have called you TT. Maybe, of course, you didn't want me to, though. That's your husband's nickname. So I have been married. She's been married for years. And you have 3 boys.
Yeah.
It's great being the only queen in the house. Ha ha, I like that. I've always loved all things beauty. Now that I can count for. Tennille is really good with hair and makeup. I mean, this lady is phenomenal.
I would have to agree with that.
If I wore makeup, she'd be the one doing my makeup. So, yeah. Let's see. You have been in cosmetology for years. In that time, I have managed salons, worked for major brands like Too Faced Cosmetics. I've never heard of them. Redken, I've heard of Redken Hair, and rep teaching salons how to use their products and doing hair shows. She has done hair and makeup for many brides for their wedding, also for high school dances. She taught college, International Institute, earning her instructor's license that later used to teach apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've got to know a little bit more about you just here in the last 30 seconds than the whole time you and I...
Didn't know what you didn't know, right?
I know, right? So after all this fun and knowledge she gained along the way, really wanted to start her own thing. So she has her own salon called B by T Design. What's the B? Is it beauty?
Beauty by Tennille's Design.
I love it.
Yeah.
She does several beauty services and sales beauty products, professional hair products, also Mary Kay makeup and skincare, and also Instagram and FB pages to share products and services, to giveaways and good deals so others can try to great, beautiful products like I do. Not me, but her. I love building relationships, which I will second that motion because I've known Tennille for about 4 years, I think 5 years, while helping others look and feel amazing. Trying products is so much fun and the best way to see what works best for you. So, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
I remember, you and I think we first met at a networking group, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it where it was? Yeah, I think it was a networking group through the West Jordan Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. And then I was actually working for the chamber as the director of memberships, member relations at the time. And then you came in and started working there, and we built this friendship.
Yeah.
And when I was reading your bio, I've said, gosh, these are new things that I've learned about you.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, but you shared something with me a little bit ago on Facebook, and that's why I asked if you'd be interested in coming on the show. But just share a little bit more about you. I mean, did you grow up here in Salt Lake? What was your childhood like? What was family like?
Yeah, so had a very interesting childhood. Most people don't know about it, and when I tell them, they are pretty surprised about my childhood. I did grow up here in Utah. And So I actually lived with my grandparents from I think before I was 1 year old till I was about 9, when my grandma got sick and cancer. So it was my dad's mom and grandpa it was step grandpa. Her first husband died years before, and so she was remarried. But anyway, great guy, and so yeah, they took us in. So her son is my father, obviously, and my dad dealt with alcohol, and he would kind of get mean when he drank, and so and it was a constant thing, and so my grandma kind of took us in and was trying to help out, and kind of trying to get him on track, but
Yeah.
so yeah, we lived in Holiday, and it was a great childhood. They were great to us, and so we'd kind of go back and forth, go to Dad's once in a while, but end up back at Grandma and Grandpa's.
So basically, Grandma and Grandpa raised you, and do you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
Yep, they were there also. I'm the youngest, so my sister's 3 years older, my brother's 2 years older.
Ah.
Yeah.
And they took you in because of the addiction that your father was having
Yeah.
with the alcohol. Do you know if his addiction started at an early age? Because a lot of our guests that have come on the show, and even including my wife, started drinking at a very young age. Some that we've had as early as like 12 years old.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if he drank. I don't think he did at a younger age. So my dad's passed away now. He had lung cancer and passed away in 2012. But in that time when he was really sick, I actually learned kind of a lot more about him and our family, and kind of led me to know, I think, why he became an alcoholic. He had a lot of bad things in his life, like his dad died, my grandpa, when he was a young teenager. And the things I've heard about him was that he was an awesome dad, and would put him to bed every night, tell him good night, tuck him in, stuff like that. So I can imagine that was super hard for him. And then he had a brother that was a year younger than him, and I think when they were about 12, 13, they were just outside playing, and his brother tripped and fell and hit his head on a rock and passed away.
Oh, no.
And so I think that my
Yeah.
dad had a hard time with that, and I think he felt like people blamed him because he was with him, and I think that was a whole thing. And so I'm not sure exactly at what point he started drinking, but I know some of these things, I believe, are what kind of led him to alcohol,
Yeah.
so.
And it's crazy, and my wife can probably contest to this, but I think 100% of the people that we've had on this show, whether they've been here in the studio or on a Zoom call, has had something happen to them in their life, either early adulthood or childhood, that kind of pushed, when you try something for the first time, like drugs or alcohol or porn or eating or gambling or whatever, and that dopamine hits and it makes you feel so much better, and that's when it grabs you. With you saying that your dad's brother, who was a year and a half younger than him, right, fell and hit his head on a rock and passed away, the first thing that flashed in my head was the movie Walking the Line. Is it Walking the Line? Walk the Line. It's a story about Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
That was one of his battles, why he fought pills so bad, is
His brother.
he thought it was his fault that his brother died the way he died. And also Ray Charles. Ray Charles had the same thing, had a younger brother and ended up drowning, and Ray Charles took that upon himself, that it was his fault, because he was the one playing with his brother at the time when it happened.
Yeah, like my dad. Yeah, he was with him, and so they're like, oh, I should have, I think they could have done something. But.
Yeah. Well, and I would think that any of us would think that.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're young like that. Yeah.
Yeah, what makes it even harder is when it happens when you're young also, and then you're still trying to figure out life, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, what should I have done different? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, could I have saved
Because
you?
your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 26 years old. So back then, it's like you're so many things
yeah. going
you
through
think
your
you're
mind.
responsible for that you're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I never, thought of these things before. Like growing up, I never thought, oh, why does he do this? Or that's what you think is why do they do this?
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, it's like, okay, well, there's a reason people do things, right? And so learning kind of those things, it was interesting for me to realize, because I used to think also, like, well, why do people start taking drugs? Or why do they start, why do they do it for the first time? And then obviously, once you do it, that's, you can become addicted, obviously. But
Yeah.
I used to think that, like, what makes them do it the first time? And then just finding out more about my dad's life and stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's usually a reason that drives them to want to not feel or be numb or whatever they get out of the addiction they have, right?
Yeah.
So,
So your dad's dad passed away first,
mm-hmm.
and then it was after that his brother passed away.
Mm-hmm. And within a short amount, a few years from each other, I think it was. So.
Okay. So that really had to be very devastating for him, because by saying what you were saying about his father was
Right.
such a great dad,
Mm-hmm.
probably always doing things with them and
Mm-hmm.
protecting them and make sure that they're safe. It's like that security blanket
Yeah.
is no longer there.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm just guessing here. And then losing his little brother, but him thinking that with him being older that he has to kind of take on that man role, that
Right.
responsibility.
Yeah. Especially since his dad was gone.
Yeah.
It was probably double like, oh, I should have been responsible for him because our dad's gone, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how old were you when you were starting to kind of figure this out? Was it after your dad passed, or was it during
Yeah, I was an adult. Like, as he got sick and stuff, I just started learning more about, stuff like that, like things that had happened before I was around.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, okay, I kind of understand my dad a little bit better now at this point, because, growing up with it, you're just like, oh, why is, what a jerk. Why does he do this?
Yeah.
Doesn't he love us or doesn't whatever, So, it took me a long time until he got sick and learning more about him, that it was like, okay, I get it now, and he did love us, and he does, he's a good person, has a great heart.
Yeah.
He just, had his own issues and then turned to alcohol, and, when he was drinking, he was a different person. So.
Yeah, I can contest to that. Yeah. When my wife was in the depth of her addiction, this sweet, lovely, kind person who I knew
Right.
and married,
Right.
it's like she was gone. But again, she was battling things
Mm-hmm.
inside. I knew a little bit of some of the things because, we were together 3 years before we got married, and she had told me some stories. But you would think that I would have figured out the
Right.
depth of it, and I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Even after she got into her addiction heavy, I still
Yeah.
didn't figure it out. And that's us on the other side. Still,
Right.
we're scratching our heads, still trying to figure out
Yeah.
what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, that's like with my dad. It took me a long time, just to figure out, okay, well, why does he do this? Or why does, when
Yeah.
you're on the other side, you just don't understand why they would even start it, or, so I'm just thankful that I did learn that's something I've learned through it, if nothing else from his addiction, that I learned how to understand other people that have addictions and why, and that there's always a reason, and that usually it's not them when they're addicted and doing some horrible things that they do when they're, using whatever they're addicted to.
Yeah.
That really, that's not the person that they are. And then trying to figure out, okay, well, what drove them to this point? Because obviously they're dealing with other things in life,
Yeah.
I like that you use the word reason too. It's not an excuse, it's a reason.
Yeah.
It's a reason that they do what they do,
Yeah.
And I can relate to you so much because my dad, he battled with addiction too before me. He had pretty much every kind of addiction you can think of. But he died of a heroin overdose. And back before I got into my addiction, I was always wondering that. I'm like, why? Why is he doing this to us? Why does he do what he does to my mom?
Right.
You know, because he used to leave her. He'd drop her off to work, and they only had one car. You know, he'd drop her off at work and disappear for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Why would he do the stuff he does to me?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And before he got into his addiction, I was his little girl, you know.
Yeah.
And then all that changed.
Right.
That was all gone. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we were bitter enemies. And I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I did understand that I was the only single person in my family. You know, my siblings were all married, and so Mom would come to me first.
Yeah.
And so he was jealous of that because he wasn't there for her when I was.
Yeah.
And so it made sense that way, but I didn't understand why he was doing any of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah, you're like,
and then I got into my addiction, and I understood it all,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it was like, I did have that need to know why he was doing the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
But it made complete sense once I got there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I relate to you totally
Yeah.
on that part.
Yeah, and on that topic, I feel like I was thinking about this too, is sometimes people end up like their parents, right?
Right.
Or opposite. And luckily, I think for me, I was like, okay, I don't want to do those things that Dad did.
Right.
But there's a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand that. They're even, when they hear my story, they're like, oh, how are you not, like,
Yeah.
addicted to something or this or that, you know? And it's like, well, I think I just was like, you know, I don't want to do that. I didn't
Yeah.
like that, you know?
Yeah.
But then a lot of times people do it because that's what they've seen and that's what they learned, right?
Right.
So like in your case, you're like, my
Well,
dad
and
did
see,
it.
I had 5 siblings, 5.
Yeah.
And not one of them went down his path.
Mm.
I was the only one that did. And I was the only one that didn't get along with him.
Mm. Yeah, so my brother drinks quite a bit, hates the fact that my dad was an alcoholic, and, you know, he was kind of abusive, not as much to me and my sister, but a little bit. He did strange things. But my brother too, so he's like, despises, you know, that part of my dad. But then he drinks all the time, and I'm just like, well, I don't get it. You know?
Yeah.
If you didn't like that or about him, why do you do
Then
it?
why are you doing
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Luckily, he doesn't get
Yeah.
violent and stuff like my dad, and I don't know if it's an addiction for him. I'm not around him enough. He lives in
He
Oregon.
was just a heavy drinker.
Yeah, but yeah, and luckily he doesn't get the anger and stuff like that. He gets more
Yeah.
emotional, I think, when he's drinking.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just interesting. And me and my sister are
It
totally
is.
opposite. We're like, yeah, we don't want to touch that stuff because we saw what it did. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy how that goes. So JD, who is usually on the show here with us, he had addiction throughout his family. His mom, dad, stepdad, siblings.
Yeah.
And he's watching all this happen, and he could have fell right onto that same path.
Right.
And he's like what you were just saying with you and your sisters, like, man, I'm seeing what their life is like
Yeah.
because of this addiction.
Right.
I don't want to go down that. So, you know, his addiction was baseball. He just pushed himself into wanting to be a professional baseball player and wanting to be as good as he could possibly be, and
Yeah.
and unfortunately, you know, like we've said even on the show many times, and other people say, that addiction is a family disease. He ended up having to give up his dream to take care of his family at a young age, like 16, 17 years old.
Right.
You know, and that's a hard choice to make even as a teenager, where
Yeah.
you should be out playing ball and chasing girls or
Right.
chasing boys or doing whatever.
Yeah.
But to have to pull away from your dreams to try to help your family and try to get them through it. You know, and I know it's been very hard for him, because he lost his sister. I think he said it's going to be 2 years this December,
Oh,
and
so
it's
not
been
very long.
it's been very hard for him. You know, knowing that, I mean, they were talking about getting her help and everything, and it was just like a couple days after that,
Yeah.
she was gone. But so you said that when your dad drank, he had a lot of anger.
Mhm.
Some people can drink and they turn into some
Yeah.
of the most funniest damn people
Right.
you'll ever meet.
Right.
And then you get these others where it's like the switch turns on and they're definitely not that same
Yeah.
person. And I'm wondering, with all the stuff that went on with your dad in his childhood and dealing with the deaths and things like that, that's where that anger came from.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, when he drank, it just
Would come out.
escalated it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, like I said, he was abusive to my mom, so she ended up leaving him. And then he was remarried again by the time I was about 5, and, you know, I saw him be abusive to her. I remember we had this little puppy, and the puppy was, like, barking, and he came home, you know, after drinking and was drunk, and he, like, hit it on the head and killed it.
Oh
And
my gosh.
We were little, me and my sister, and, you know, I don't remember a lot of things about my childhood, but I do have these random memories of things I wish I didn't remember.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. So for a long time, I would have, like, nightmares and stuff about that, you know? And, yeah, it was just like he wasn't in control of himself, you know? And I'm sure he didn't mean to do that, or that wasn't what he was thinking was going to happen, right?
Right.
But it's just, yeah, that anger was just there, and when he was drunk, it would come out.
I think that's where that stuff falls into that circle where it never stops. It's and we talked about it on our show that Janan and I did together, and Janan, chime in here if I'm wrong or if I'm right. But I know when Janan would get to those days where she was really pounding the alcohol pretty hard, when she would come out of it, then that guilt
Yeah.
would set in of like, what did I just do? You know, because you know that you're hurting somebody that you love and that you
Yeah.
care about, and then that guilt starts eating into you again to where it pushes you right back to
Yeah.
what got you to that
Right.
point in the first
Like,
place,
so I'm just
right?
gonna drink some more because, yeah.
It's that vicious
for sure.
cycle, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were pretty young, but I think even for me, I fell into that circle as well. You know, it's like watching my wife in a whirlpool, you know, and starting to get sucked down, and you're trying to save her, and you jump in and you're getting sucked down
Right.
as well because you have nothing else to hang on to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how addiction, and we're just not talking drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had people on the show that's had sex addiction, porn addiction,
Right. There's a lot of different ones.
different ones. Yeah. We're trying to find somebody that has a gambling addiction or a gaming addiction. I just had somebody tell me a story Tuesday that oh my gosh, it was a child. Their mom and dad got a divorce, and of course the child goes with the mom, which they usually do.
Right.
But the mom ended up getting in another relationship, and they turned into gamers. And basically, their son was being neglected because all they did was game. As soon as they got home from work, it wasn't like the normal family stuff, cooking dinner, get your homework done. It was they were on the computer, on the TV, and they were gaming.
Yeah.
And they would game till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
then go to bed, get up, go to work, come home, and do the exact. It was the same thing every day, and how bad it affected this young man.
Yeah.
Because he was like,
He's like, hi, what about me?
yeah, they don't care about me.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought the same thing. Many times I threw that at my wife.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you don't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you care about is that alcohol.
Right.
You don't. And she'd be like, no, I do. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You know,
You
when
love
really
your
she
alcohol.
did.
That's always what he used to say. You love your alcohol. You don't love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I do love you.
Yeah.
You just don't understand.
Yeah.
I do love you.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying with my dad towards the end, you know, I heard him say things and different things that I had never heard him say before. And it was like, okay, he does love me, you know, and he always has. It's just, we didn't feel that because he wasn't showing it, you know. He
Yeah.
was not taking care of us. His mom had to because he would rather be drinking or whatever he was doing, you know. And so that's what we feel on the outside is like, well, they don't care about us. They care about drinking or they care about whatever their addiction is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the gaming thing, I think I've heard of people too, like even losing their jobs because they're so addicted to gaming, you know, that they don't want to go to
They
work.
wouldn't
'cause
make
they're-
it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I can't leave this game. It's so important, and or whatever, you know. Yeah, so it's interesting, and yeah, there's lots of different addictions.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dopamine acts the exact same way. Doesn't matter what type of addiction it is, that dopamine affects your brain and your body the exact
Well,
same
it's
way.
the same with any kind of like Facebook.
Yeah.
When I was in a rehab once, they told us that, I think it was at Wasatch Recovery, they told us that being on Facebook is as hits your dopamine levels as high as cocaine does.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot
Holy
of the
cow.
social media is getting
Yeah,
to be that way
social
too.
media. Yeah.
In fact, my kids are in the Canyon School District, and I just heard that they're trying to put out a new curriculum that helps kids learn how to be social and live in the real world. And it's like, because I was actually talking to my oldest son's 23, so he's in college now. But even when he was in high school, there wasn't quite as many things on social media. Like TikTok wasn't as big. You know, there's a few other ones. And so he was really social. But I feel like nowadays the kids have so many options with social media that they don't need to talk to each other. They don't need to talk to people. You know, if they have a question, they ask Google or if whatever, you know, but they don't communicate with each other. They probably text each other more than they speak with each other. So I thought that was really interesting that they were thinking about this new curriculum that needs to come out to teach kids how to be social. I'm like, that's just normal, right? You just have conversations with people because I'm a social person.
Yeah.
But yeah, my kids, my middle one now is a senior, and he hasn't gone to one high school dance. And I'm like, don't you want to go to a dance? This is your last chance, you know? And he's like, why would I do that? I'm like, oh, all right. I guess he's not going. So it's
Wow.
interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nuts. So as a young age, I mean, that had to be very confusing for you and your sisters, because when your dad's sober, you see the man who he really is. He's this kind-hearted, loves you guys, shows all this affection and love. And then when he drinks, he's now this total different person.
Right.
That had to be so confusing at a young age. As adults, I mean, even for me, it was confusing for me, but I think as an adult, I was able to handle it a little bit differently. Not saying it was handled right, because it wasn't.
You can understand the difference.
You can
as an
understand the
adult.
difference.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, thank you. But as a young girl, I mean, you're probably going, gosh, one minute I'm getting this big hug and I love you and how's your day? And then all of a sudden the next minute I'm getting yelled at for anything that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. And like Janan said earlier, I think, you know, your brains don't develop. And I think that's why it took me so long until I was an adult before I'm like, okay, I'm kind of understanding why my dad did these things, you know. But yeah, at a young age, it was just like, you don't understand. You don't. You know, you think, oh, is there something I could do, or is there something I'm supposed to be doing that would make him not want to drink, or, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really hard to just watch who he was when he was drunk, as opposed to this nice, kind-hearted person, you know. You're like, wow, my dad has a really big heart, and then he become evil, and you're like, what in the world? Like, it's like watching two different people, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, as a young child, that's really confusing, and you just don't know like what is going on, you know, if this is normal, or because this is your childhood, right? So you're like, is this normal? Do all these other kids around me, you know, live like this, or what's happening? So it's definitely a hard thing to, you know, take in. I feel like now, almost like my grandparents were my parents, you know. I'm like, why didn't they just give me up for adoption? Or like, apparently they couldn't do the job, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, you know, you think they didn't love you then and stuff, and they did. They just were dealing with their own issues and didn't know how to handle their life at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had two people on our show. Their episode came out quite a bit ago, but it was a mother and a daughter. And it was the first time that the daughter shared and spoke about what it was like having a mom that was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
And to sit here in the studio and watch these two and watch how each one of them looked at it. So it's kind of just like what you just said. So
Mm-hmm.
the mom ended up leaving the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not because the drugs or alcohol was more important. She left the kids because she felt like her kids were probably safer and better off without her,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because she didn't want them to be around her when she was
Right.
drinking and drugging.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter was like, no, we thought you didn't care about us.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, like I just mentioned, that alcohol and the drugs were more important than we
Right.
were. And that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them grab each other's hand and have that understanding,
Yeah.
to finally realize that it's not how they were looking at it. And I think that's the mistake that society makes,
Mm-hmm.
and the mistake we on the other side of the addiction that we make
Mm-hmm.
by not realizing we're seeing it the way we want to see
Right.
it,
Right.
and it's not really the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things, like I said earlier, I was thankful for is I think the one thing I've learned from my dad's addiction is being able to understand that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
That, these people, I know, well, I'm guessing, I don't know, other people probably look at people with addictions like I probably did as a kid, like, why would they even do that? Why did
Yeah.
they take the first pill or whatever, obviously they knew if that happened, they could become addicted, but so why would they do it the first time? And so, yeah, until I was older, it was like, I just didn't understand why they would even do that and how that could even become a priority or something that was important or that they'd want to do.
Yeah.
But now I feel like through, trying to understand my dad and just everything we went through, that I can look at other people that have addictions and be like, okay, I know they weren't just like, hey, I'm going to take a pill and then they become addicted. And it's usually something's happened in their life that, they're dealing with and they don't know how to deal with it. And so they turn to that, just like everyone has things in their life that they're
Yeah.
like, how do I deal with this? In fact, after I graduated high school, I went to, it was called Impact. A kid I was in beauty school with told me about it. And it was basically, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was 3 full days. It was like I couldn't go to work, I couldn't go to school. I had to just go to this, and it was like a counseling thing, but it was
Okay.
a full day. And, there was a lot of people there, and then there was like a teacher. And I really think that that's how I am where I am today, because I decided I need to do something to get over, a lot of people like live on the past or, like you said, like you can become addicted because that's what you've seen, that's what you know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this class and it was awesome. You think your life's bad, and then they did this one thing where we'd go around and whisper, and we didn't know any of these other people, right? These were just all people with problems that decided to come and try and fix themselves. So we went around and whispered in each other's ears the worst thing that ever had happened to us, and so I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, like people that are sexually abused and, from, say, their father or someone, and so I'm like, dang, yeah, my life's not as terrible as I thought it was. Like, I'd rather have a dad that's somewhat abusive and an alcoholic than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just taught me, and they have actually different phases. I don't know if it's still around because this was years ago when I went. Like I said, I was just out of high school. But I think that's how I turned myself around. It gave me confidence. It gave me, I think it was just the way I dealt with everything that I had to deal with as a child, and how I could put it behind me and kind of move on with life and realize, okay, I'm going to do what I want with life, not what I've known. And, I'm going to put all that behind me. That doesn't have to be my life.
Right.
So So yeah, I think that if more people knew about these kind of things, because like I said, the only way I found out about it is the kid I was in beauty school with is like, hey, I did this and it was awesome. You should think about doing it, because we became friends and I'd tell him things, And so I was like, okay, I'm going to check into it. And I think back now, I'm like, yeah, if I wouldn't have done that, maybe I wouldn't be the same person I am. Like going back to my brother, I feel like he has not let go of the past. He still harbors all these hard feelings about things that my dad did. And like I said, he wasn't physically really abusive to us, but maybe a little bit more to my brother, not really to us girls, but he would do things like lock us in the bathroom or whatever, for probably because he didn't want to hurt us, or I don't know,
Yeah.
And so my brother doesn't let go of those things, and I'm always like, you can't make people do certain things. So I'm like, I think if he was to figure out a way he could deal with it more, maybe he wouldn't drink now, or maybe, I just feel like that helped me, and if people can find something like that can help them, it would maybe help people have less addiction, or kind of turn their lives around, in a positive way. But like I said, I also did it at a pretty young age. So I think that made it easier for me too.
Yeah.
Because I think the longer you wait, the more
The more
difficult
it festers.
difficult it becomes to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You get to a point where you don't know what else to do. And I think that's where people are like, okay, I'm going to pop a pill or drink something or game or whatever,
Yeah.
to keep my mind in that place instead of dealing with my feelings in life, right?
And that's hard for all of us to do, I think, is just deal.
As a normal person, it's hard to deal with life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, but that's what life is supposed to be.
Right.
I have somebody in my family that thinks life should just be that straight line
Yeah.
all the time. Nothing, there should be no dips, there should be no
Right.
change. And to me, that would be a boring ass life.
Right.
I mean, maybe we wouldn't have as much addiction that we have out there, but,
Maybe.
I mean,
What
I know
would
of
be
you,
the point if you already knew what was going to happen in
yeah,
life, right?
yeah. I mean, what I know of you, you're a fairly spiritual type person,
Yeah.
and that's what we're here. We're here to have those issues,
Right.
So we
To
can
learn and to grow.
so we can grow.
Yeah.
And I think the whole purpose of why Jeanette and I have gone through what we've gone through is to it's for us to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's led to this.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you would have said 2 or 3 years ago, this is where, I mean, if you
Yeah.
were able to open up a book and go,
Yeah.
okay, I got to go through this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look what happens at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But,
and if you were to guess, 3 years ago, I knew you were having issues,
yeah.
with things that were going on at home, and I'm like, yeah, I would have thought maybe you wouldn't even be together right now, or
Oh, yeah.
you don't. When you think about it, you're like, who knows? But
Well, yeah, because it
Yeah.
usually goes that direction.
right,
I mean, not very often do people stay together
Yeah.
or a relationship, whether it's with your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, aunt and
Right.
uncle or whatever. I mean, usually addiction breaks all that up,
yeah,
and it has broken up a lot of things in our family. I
Yeah.
mean, it really has on
Yeah.
both sides. And luckily, some of it's starting to slowly
Make
come
its way
back.
mm-hmm.
But even though for somebody like my wife, and even for me, it's like it's such a slow process, because it seems like the addiction just happened like that, when
Right.
really, like my buddy Nick says, you connect the dots backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you're going, oh, it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
No.
It was dot,
Yeah.
dot, and,
Yeah.
to get to there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and what a strong person you are, because like you said, a lot of people, it breaks them, right? Because like for me, I can't say I was super close to my dad ever. Because it's like, I don't want to deal with this. Why would I
Yeah.
want to deal with this? So it's like, I'm just going to stay away. And I think it takes a really strong person to go through it with that person, and shows how much you love Janan, right? To be able to get through this with her and keep trying and wanting to understand her addiction rather than just be like, oh, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
They have a problem, they love it more or whatever, that you're thinking at the time, and just bailing, because I think a lot of people do that.
He really didn't have a whole lot of choice. I really stalked him.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's like, he tried to leave, I just pulled him back in.
Yeah, pull me right back in. Hey guys, this is a great time right now we're going to stop for a quick commercial break, but stay tuned so we can get in this a little bit deeper. But we'll be right back.
Yeah.
How do you start your morning? Start it with a cup of High Point coffee. Because no matter where you go or what you do, it's always better with coffee. High Point coffee. What's your high point? Located on the corner of 7800 South and Redwood Road in West Jordan. And a special thanks goes out to our partners in Oxford, Mississippi.
This is Gregory, owner of Lift Up Concrete, proudly serving the Wasatch Front for the last 12 years, lifting sunken flatwork for both residential and commercial applications. Only fully trained professionals lifting concrete at your residence with the same quality of material and method used at every commercial job we ever do. Don't replace it, lift it. liftupconcrete.net, 801-792-4535. Contact us at liftupconcrete.net, or if you're looking for a complimentary quote, 801-792-4535. Again, 801-792-4535. Again, this is Gregory, Lift Up Concrete Lifting.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the second half of The Other Side of Addiction with our special guest, Tennille Thorne, and our special co-host, Jeananne Richards. So guys, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, before we get started here, as we do every week, we just want to say thank you to our listeners. Thank you so much for all your support and your love and your kindness. You guys are really helping us. I mean, you guys are helping us grow like crazy. We are just blessed and grateful and appreciative of where things are going. So thank you very much. We also want to say thank you to our sponsors. We have High Point Coffee out of West Jordan off 7800 South and Redwood Road. Steve and everybody over there at High Point Coffee, these guys are just great. My wife and I is good friends with Gregory and Tosh, the owners of Lift Up Concrete out of Kaysville. Guys, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. When I sat down with these guys, or when we sat down with these guys, told them what we were doing, I mean, they didn't even hesitate. They were like, what can we do to help you guys out? So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I also want to say thank you to Brad with Surf Pro West Jordan. But we just want to make sure that we say thank you to all the surf pros from Ogden all the way down to St. George. Also a huge thank you to USARA, Utah Support Advocates of Recovery for Recovery Awareness. Evan and Tiffany and Darlene. I mean, there's so many people out there. Thank you. Christy, thank you so much for your support. I also want to say thank you to Letitia and Kevin, the owners of Computer Hospital in Sandy. Thank you guys for your love and your support and your kindness and believing in what we were doing. Also, Cameron and Austin Smith with Refiner Productions. These guys are they're just two great kids. I mean, I just love both those guys so much. And they have really backed us up here at the other side of addiction. They're the ones that some of you have seen the videos on Facebook of me talking about things. They are the ones that have done that. If you guys are looking to have somebody film a wedding or an event or whatever it may be, please reach out to us because these guys do great work. We also want to say thank you to Taffy Town, which is out there in West Jordan. Guys, thank you for all your support, all your love. And as we do every week, got to thank the big man, the big teddy bear, Brad Newfield with Resilience Talk Network. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for Brad and all our sponsors and all you listeners. So, guys, thank you very much. I actually got through this without getting emotional because my heart is so full of gratitude and appreciation for all you guys. So thank you very much. All right. So as we went off on our break, Tennille, you were talking about how somebody told you about a class and you went to this class, and that class could have been what saved you from going down the other road. Because we were talking during the break, if you hadn't have gone to that class to really go, oh gosh, this is how I want my life to go, this is how I want my life to be, you could have easily fallen into that same path that your father did, right?
Yeah, totally. Because like I said, most people, when you grow up with that, that's what you know, right?
Right.
That's what life is to you. And so it's super easy to follow that same pattern.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think back, like if I wouldn't have gone to that class, I probably wouldn't have got through some of the things the way I did, put the past behind me, decided more of what I wanted out of my life. And if I didn't have that, I don't know that I'd be in the same place I am now. So
yeah,
super thankful that someone, mentioned that to me. And I'm hoping that more people will mention and talk about these ways that people can get help to deal with different problems, and it can help, there become maybe less addiction, because I feel like people turn to that because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that enough people talk about these. There is, a lot of different ways that you could deal with things, and I just think people don't know about them,
Well, and I'm looking at it this way. You had somebody nice enough to say, hey, there's this 3-day event. Why don't you come and check it out?
Mm-hmm.
That same person could have been different and said, man, are you struggling with some things? I can tell you're struggling with some things. Here, take this.
Yeah.
This might help you feel a little better. And
Right.
you take that, and then you're going, wow, I do
did
feel
feel
better.
better. Yeah.
This is great, because we have found that with a lot of people that we have interviewed, and even people who don't deal with addictions, but they work with like childhood trauma or they do like coaching and things like that. One of our guests who's out of Colorado, Vanessa, she was saying that 100% of her clients that come to her have been battling something that's happened in their life.
Yeah.
Any one of us could fall into that trap where that wrong person,
Right.
not meaning that they want to do it intentionally, because I really doubt that's what they want to happen,
Right.
but could have led you down that totally different path. I mean, when I was going through things in my life, I mean, if I was offered something that would help me forget or help me feel better, I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
Right.
And then you start realizing before too long you don't have control over your
Yeah.
life anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. So that could have turned out two ways there.
Yeah.
But luckily it didn't happen in
Yeah.
the bad direction.
Right. Yeah.
So you were talking about, and again, this is up to you if you want to share or not. You were talking about young age. Your mom left
Yeah.
because of the abuse she was going through with your dad due to his alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that would have to be so devastating, because the mom is like almost the glue. The mom, the mother bear, as a lot of people like to say,
Yeah.
it's the glue of holding things together, and then not to have that.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to be tragic for you guys too.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think that class did a lot of things for who I've become, because I think about that now. I have 3 boys, and yeah, I'm like, they've had friends that have lost their mom or something, and I'm like, oh man, how does, that be terrible to not have that mother figure, The moms are the one, like you said, that are the glue. They are the more loving, nurturing. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, they're the ones that hug you and wipe your tears and put a Band-Aid on your boo-boos, and so yeah, again, I'm thankful for my grandparents, because I did have them, and like I said, I feel like in a lot of ways they were basically like my parents. But again, I try to understand my mom. Like, yeah, her husband's abusing her, right? And he told her that if she took us, that he'd come and find her. And at this point, you're scared of someone that is abusing you all the time, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so she didn't know what else to do and left. And but it was definitely hard, because yeah, I didn't even really know her until later on in my life. I probably saw her once or twice by the time I was 8 or 9 years old.
Really? From the time and you were what, 5 when she?
No, I was 1.
1 when she left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So like I said, my grandparents took us in at that time, and she just kind of left to get out of the situation. And she came back and to visit, once or twice is all. So I really didn't know her that much, and that's probably why I have such a bond with my grandparents and feel like they're my parents, because at such a young age, they're the ones that kind of nurtured me and took care of me and did everything. And then my grandma got sick when I was about 8. She had cancer and was kind of deteriorating, and so they reached out to my mom at that point, because my dad was still drinking, and like I said earlier, we'd go stay with him, and he was remarried at that point, but he'd get drunk and start abusing his wife, and the cops would come, and so we'd end up back at Grandma and Grandpa's. And so they knew that he still wasn't in a place where he could take us, right? So they reached out to my mom and just said, look, we can't take care of him anymore. And so she came and took us at that point. And yeah, and she has her own issues, obviously, from dealing with things like this, leaving her kids. And we really didn't have a great relation. We got pretty close at that time, and then she kind of ran out on us again as a teenager, and I didn't see her until I think I had my second son. I'd talk to her once in a while and write her letters and stuff, but we didn't have, a great relationship until she kind of came back around, and now she lives close. But it's interesting, because I feel more like the mom than she is, because I'm the one. And I don't know, she never was the mom, so I feel like she doesn't know how to be, right?
Right.
But yeah, back to the not having that, yeah, with my kids, I'm just like, oh, what would they do without me? I think, what if I got hit by a bus? They wouldn't be able to handle life, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's going to do their laundry and, you know,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I'm like, who's going to find stuff that they can't find? Because, you know, kids are, and my husband usually can't find things, and they're like, where
Yeah.
is this? And I'm like, it's yours, but let me find it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how, you know, I don't really remember or recall how I dealt with that as a kid. It was more like when you grow up, you're like, okay, this wasn't normal, right? This wasn't the normal life. Most people have parents and,
Yeah.
you know, that take care of them. And even when they have issues like addiction,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they still have the kids with them, you know, they
Right.
don't go off somewhere else to be taken care of. So it's interesting. And again, I just go back to that class of how if I wouldn't have gone to that, I'd probably be a different person right now. Trying to
Yeah.
figure out still how to deal with some of these things that, you know, obviously affected me. And I just didn't, you know, you don't really realize it at the time.
So something resonated in those 3 days that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just got you to go down a totally different path. Because, I mean, I'm sitting here while you're talking and you're sharing all this, and all these things are going through my head. It's
Mhm.
like you and your sister and your brother. I mean, your lives could have went totally in so many different places.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard these type of stories before, and I'm not saying that these people did something wrong, because they didn't. It's
Right.
just how life dealt them the cards,
Yeah.
where things just went in different directions. But
Mhm.
I mean, you could have not even had your grandparents. You could have
Yeah.
been being bounced around from foster
Foster
home
care
to
to
foster
foster-
home.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good friend who that happened to him. I mean, he bounced from one foster home or grandparents and different things, and he still struggles with some of that today as a grown man.
Yeah.
Right.
We were watching a movie, Janan and I, not too long ago. It's called The 12 Orphans, and it's based off of a true story.
Yeah.
And it's back when the Depression hit,
Depression.
and 1930s, and back in Texas when the Dust Bowl, everything dried up, and you know, I mean, these people, some of these parents were leaving their kids
Yeah.
because they couldn't take care of them.
They couldn't take care of themselves.
They couldn't even take care of
Yeah.
themselves. You know, and as these kids got older, I remember in one of the scenes, you know, this family pulls up to come and pick up a kid, but it was a smaller child, and these other guys they're teenagers, and they're like, nobody will take us because we're older.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that stuff could have happened so easy if you wouldn't have had the grandparents that you had.
Yeah.
Going to that class.
Yeah.
I mean, you said that your sister's kind of like you. Neither one of you kind of gone through, you know, going into the alcohol or whatever. Your brother's, you don't know if he drinks a lot, but you know he does drink. But there's things that you could been holding here inside, but
Yeah.
you've learned how to deal with those to not take you down that wrong road.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting, you know, life's crazy. You never know where it's going to take you, right? My
Yeah.
brother's a great guy. He has a family and he's a really good dad and he's a good husband, you know, where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, my dad wasn't, you know, so that's awesome, right? But yeah, he doesn't, like I said before, let go of the past. So, you know, he has depression issues and he drinks a lot more than I feel like is healthy. He has health issues. Like, he's only a year older than me, and he has oh gosh, what's it called? The thing they put inside of you to help your heart keep beating.
Like a stance or a pacemaker?
Pacemaker. You know, and he's not that old.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, obviously the alcohol and different things like that are contributing to his health issues, I think. And so, yeah, it's just interesting how you look at things and think, oh, life could go a lot of different ways. And it also makes me think of, at such a young age, what really resonates with you, right? Because my grandparents were just awesome people.
Sounds like it.
And
yeah.
so if I didn't have them, I, again, wouldn't probably be the person that I am, because I just remember these things that I learned from them at such a young age. Because like I said, I was only with them till I was probably 8.
Mm-hmm.
And in that amount of time, as such a young child, I feel like a lot of the things that are important to me now I learned from them, like how to be a good mom and that family's important, and different things like that. How to put people first, right? My grandparents obviously were putting their family first. They took in a bunch of kids that they didn't need to take care of.
They've already raised kids, right?
As an
Now
old
they are
couple,
raising them again.
Yeah, and I remember my grandma, my dad would come around and she, wanted the best for him, wanted him to not drink and be a better person, but she'd still give him money and bail him out all the time, and all that kind of stuff, because it was her son and she wanted to help him. Yeah. So
What are you smiling about?
Just, it's because we do that as loved ones, because we care about that person, and
Right.
really we're doing more harm than we're doing good, but we don't realize it.
yeah, I actually had so my great uncle is my grandma's brother, and he's actually still alive, which is crazy because my grandma died when I was really young, but they had like 14 kids, so there's a big span
family,
of age gap, right? And I was talking to him one day, and he was a lawyer in Bountiful for years and years, and he was asking me some stuff about my grandma and how it was to live with her and stuff, and he said, I feel bad because at first she would call me to go bail out your dad because he'd get a DUI or whatever, and he's like, I did it a few times, but then finally I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. He needs to get it together, and he's like, I feel bad now, and because it kind of hurt their relationship a little, because my grandma's like, come on, man, you're my brother, you're supposed to help me out.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, I think it is a hard and fine line between helping them and enabling them.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can only do so much, and it has to be them that chooses. There's nothing you can do that's going to make them decide to stop, right?
Right.
And yeah, giving them money to go buy it or whatever, that's what they're going to do, You love them, so you want to just obviously help them. They need money, you're going to give them money, but yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Us on the other side, we have to learn how to have our boundaries too, because in AA and things like that, they teach the addicts you set your boundaries, and you stick to those boundaries. Don't let anybody come in that's going to threaten that, because they already feel threatened with a lot of different things. Don't get in my space.
Yeah.
But us on the other side, we totally lose that we have to set our boundaries as well. It's like I used to tell.
I think it's more important for people on the other side to have their boundaries than it is for people
Do ya?
in the addiction, because we love those you love these people, and you want to do all this stuff for them to try to help them, but all you're doing is enabling them.
Yeah.
And if you don't keep your boundaries, you're just going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because while we were in our addiction, we
You're not thinking of.
we just manipulate.
Oh yeah.
We just want to hurt because we want to do everything we can to feel better.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You're
we're
not-
not thinking about that other person.
Yeah.
So we want you to have the strong boundaries so we can't do that to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're the one. The ones on the outside are the ones thinking logically, right?
Yeah.
And they're thinking
And
with their
we're not-
heart, and you
yeah.
guys are, the ones that are addicted are thinking that they're not thinking.
We gotta
All they're
get our
thinking
fix.
about is, whatever it is they want. Like,
Yeah.
Whatever they're addicted to. That's
As much
the
as
only
we
thing in
love
their
you,
mind.
we
Right.
just want our fix. We just
right.
It's that
want that pain to go away.
it's the selfishness that kicks in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's a selfishness. It's
Don't
just we are in so much pain that we just don't want to feel that pain anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that we can see. It's that pain going away.
Well, yeah, and I think when you have an addiction, you don't see anything else. Like I'm saying, your mind doesn't, even though you love someone, your mind isn't thinking, I love this person. Your mind's thinking, I want whatever it is you're addicted
Yep.
to. And that's the
Yep.
only thing that your mind's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you'll take whatever you can, and you're not thinking, oh, this is going to hurt
Yeah,
someone.
you have a separation between your brain, your heart, and your soul.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
separated, and your brain is taking over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wants whatever it is that makes you feel okay again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's especially important for the people on the other side to have their boundaries and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
If there's anything else I can do, yeah, I will do it. But I'm not going to enable you. I'm not
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah.
They teach.
And it's incredibly hard. I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
They teach that. So remember when I was taking that Wednesday night class online from USARA, the Craft Family Support Group,
Mm-hmm.
they teach a lot about that, is, you know, setting your boundaries. And after the lesson, they always give people a chance to come on and chat.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are teaching the class are people who they've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
So they know exactly what you're
Right.
going through
Yeah.
because they've been there,
Yeah.
or they're still there, and this is helping them. But yeah, they teach you to be able to set these boundaries. And when some people still get in and they start sharing, you hear that all the time. It's like, it's so hard to tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I was stuck between a rock and a hard spot when Janan was in the depth of her addiction, because when she couldn't get any more booze and she was too wasted to even go steal some,
Right.
you know, basically she was throwing at me, putting the guilt trip on me, going, I
You
can
would
die.
just-
I can die.
Yeah. If you
I
would
will
just get me some.
I will go through withdrawals and
Yeah.
I will die. And at first I'm like, okay, yeah, screw you. You're trying to manipulate me. And
Yeah.
then when I started going to some of the classes and going to rehabs with her, and I'm learning, no, alcohol is the only drug that basically will kill you if you quit cold turkey. Heroin won't, isn't it?
Heroin will.
Oh, heroin will. Okay, but alcohol, you have to be weaned off of it. And
Oh, you
when
have
I
to
would
have the
sit and-
medication. One of the two.
when I would sit and watch her laying on a bed and she's just shaking like
Yeah.
this, you know, and I'm thinking, well, shit, what do I do now?
Right.
I mean, do I go buy her a bottle?
Yeah.
Because I can't stand her drunk,
Yeah, but I can't let her
but I
do this.
but I can't,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and that's where you fall into that circle as well. So that's why I finally got to a point after so many flipping years, is telling her, look, as long as you're sober, I'm here 100% to do whatever I can to help you. But if you decide to take a drink, you've now stepped away from me and you're going into your, like we were talking on the way over here, it's your side of the street.
Right.
I'm staying on mine, you can stay on yours, so you can
Yeah.
go down it however you want to go down it. But still, as loved ones, it's so flippin' hard.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it was a little bit different because it's my spouse.
Right.
But for those people out there who have a child that's battling addiction, I can't imagine. I've got a good friend. You know her as well, but and I won't say her name, but she works at a Mexican restaurant that you and I know in West Jordan. But her son's battled addiction, and he was doing really well, and he got in a car accident, and that kind of like shifted things. But last time I was talking to her, you know, they were getting him into help, and he was starting to do really good again. But I remember we just kind of went off on the corner of the restaurant. She's just bawling, you know, and she's like, I don't know what to do because we've let him back in the house and we found out he was stealing from us.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and she's like, we're trying to do everything we can to help him, but it's not going. And we know he wants to help because he calls up and he's like, I don't want to be like this anymore. And, you know, and seeing that coming from a mother, I'm just going, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I just can't flippin' imagine. I
Yeah.
mean, if I wanted to leave my spouse, it could be somewhat easy, even though, you know,
Yeah.
if you do care for them, but it's like, yeah,
People do it all the time, right?
get
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your child,
Yeah.
it's like,
You
oh
feel
my
responsible.
gosh,
right?
yeah.
Also,
yeah.
because it's like, oh, it's my kid. I raised him, and did I raise him to do this? You know, or
Well,
Sure,
and
part of
mothers
that.
themselves, they'll beat themselves up thinking, right, I was a bad mom,
Yeah.
or I did
What
this
did I do
wrong.
that caused
or,
him to
yeah,
go to this or whatever? Yeah.
yeah. Which could cause you to turn around and kind of fall back into
Right.
that same trap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Life is this damn merry-go-round,
I
it
know.
seems like. And
It's crazy.
yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, we're going to stop for another quick break, and we're going to come right back, and we'll finish up the show. Yeah, and then, yeah, we'd like you to let our audience know, too, on the bio, you talked about what you do, and we always give our guests a chance to say, hey, this is what I do if you're ever interested. So, feel free to share your information. But, yeah, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street. Or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account, and we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone, and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction. Again, thank you, Brad, Resilience Talk Network, for all your help, all you do. To our listeners out there, again, we couldn't be doing this without your support. We also have some more sponsors we want to thank, and our list just keeps growing. I think we're going to have some new ones here pretty soon. But I want to thank my buddy Troy Hoddle with I Am Powered Ninja Real Estate. Thank you guys for your support. TJ McLeland with Fitness Realty. And my new friend that I met at a networking group that the West Jordan Chamber was holding, Tatiana Rose. She is with Advanced Business Books. So they do bookkeeping. And so if anybody's looking for a good bookkeeper, reach out to me, because she's a sweetheart, and she loves doing what she's doing, and she loves helping people. And again, thank you, everybody, for all your support, all your love. And thank you to my lovely wife for coming out and being the host today. So it's kind of weird looking across the desk and seeing you there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're. I mean, I love JD, but you know.
I'm better to look at.
Yeah, a lot better.
Thank you for that.
A lot better to look at. Love you, brother. All right, man. So we've got into some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
About where life can take you, and I am still really, Tennille, I'm still shocked that where you are at with your life, because you've done extremely well. You're successful. You've got a great, loving family. I know you have a husband that just loves and adores you and supports you.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, with the way life was for you,
Yeah.
how easy it could have been, where you just went off in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
How a class kind of saved you, you know, got you going, giving you the aha moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, just incredible, because it's great to hear that. I mean, a lot of people say, yeah, addiction is a choice, and yeah, it probably is at the start of it. And I think by the time you realize that you're in the depth of that addiction, that choice is no longer there, because it's got a hold of you.
Right.
You know, it's got you so deep. You know, it's got a hold of that shirt tail, and it ain't letting you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, just congrats to you, man, for just heading down a totally different path. And
for sure.
We wish you're like your brother. We wish him the best. Talking about hanging on to things on the past, you know it as well, because you spoke about it in the podcast. But for our listeners, man, you've got to let the past go.
Holding on to it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll eat you up, because
Yes, it will.
I have a family member where I've watched it happen all my life, and he's been holding on to things for so long, and it's just, it's eating him up inside. I know that's what's caused him to kind of be where he's at or how he's looked at other people or
Yeah.
looked at life. And when you mentioned your brother about hanging on to the past, I saw this saying and I posted it on my Facebook. But it says if you don't heal the hurt that's inside of you, you will bleed on the people that didn't cut you.
For sure.
And that is so true, because you take that hurt and you start throwing that hurt on other people. You know,
Right.
you've got to let that past go. Jeanette and I, we did our show, and after the show we went and got something to eat, and she's like, from this time on, we said our piece. We shared our story for who knows how many people to hear.
Right. Yeah.
But this is our past now.
Yeah.
You know, we'll talk about it like in shows and things like that, or when I do speaking engagements, but it doesn't come between, because it's gone.
Yeah.
There's no reason for us to bring that pain and that, because it doesn't benefit us.
Right.
You know? So
Yeah.
for those out there listening, do what you can. I mean, take classes. Like
Yeah.
Tennille's saying, there's so
Yeah.
many different areas. There's so many things out there now
Yeah.
that a lot of them are free.
Yeah.
It won't even really cost you. And some, yes, they can get very expensive, but
See a therapist.
something.
That's-
Yeah, and don't be embarrassed by seeing a therapist, because I tell you what, we all need help. We all need that support.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's one of the things where we as human beings, where we make that wrong choice by thinking, well, I don't want anybody to know I'm going seeing a shrink.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to let people know if you don't want to, but by golly, go do it. I went and saw a therapist for 6 months to learn how to control a very bad temper that I had. But it was worth it, you know?
Well, I have to say something about that. First of all, let's get rid of the stigma about shrinks.
Yeah,
What the heck
there
is
you
a
go.
shrink?
They shrink your head. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
it's
That's not cool.
Hopefully they shrink your problems.
yeah,
yeah,
hopefully, yeah,
that's what
a
they
good
do,
way-
is shrink your
Yeah.
problems. Okay.
Good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well,
But-
and it's sad because people like me and Al were talking, you know, they don't want to say they have a problem, right?
Yeah,
Because of people judging. Like,
Yeah.
I
No
was
more
telling you, I don't
judgments,
tell
no
the
more.
story. You know, I let people probably look at me because of how I live my life now and think, oh, she probably had a great childhood and wonderful parents. And even actually when I was in beauty school, I didn't get along with one of these girls. And I think it's because she thought I was the spoiled, like she just,
Spoiled little rich girl.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, she
How many
only-
times have I said that, honey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, judging
That
people.
girl's a spoiled little rich girl.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, she doesn't know anything about me, does she? Because that was
Yeah.
definitely not the case. And so, we just need to, you know, be more open and loving. And I can see how it would be hard. Like I said, the only way I've learned it is having my dad have an addiction. And so it taught me how to understand, you know, why people can get addictions. And like we were talking about earlier, how usually there's something that they're trying to deal with that pushes them to that, right?
Right.
Or it can be that's all you know. That's what you've seen growing up. Your
Yeah.
parents were addicted, and so you're like, it's normal, right? So
Yeah.
you just do it. But there is other things that people can turn to. I just don't think that not enough people are talking about the things that can help them or that they have issues, right? Because we're
Right.
like, oh, I don't want someone to know about that because then they'll think I'm a terrible person. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that people can be less judging and just more loving and talk about ways that people can get help with different things in life, not just addiction, because, you know, obviously I didn't have an addiction, but I had a lot of other things in life because of my dad having an addiction or my mom leaving me and just things that are hard to deal with. Life is hard to deal with, right? We can all
Yeah.
use a shrink or
Everybody has
a
issues
class
and
like the one
things
I
that
went
they need
to, right?
Work through. Yeah.
And so I'm just thankful, you know, that I did have someone that said, hey, that I was able to open up to him and that he said, hey, you should try this out. And I did it and that it really helped my life. And so I'm hoping that more people can just be understanding and helpful and, you know, more open.
Stop, and I like how you said, stop the judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, if you really go back and look at your life ain't all that great either.
Right.
I mean, there are a few out there where, you know, things are frickin' hunky dory.
Yeah.
You know, but we've all have issues, all of us. So don't be pointing your finger at somebody else. I mean, there's a gal that's homeless that kind of hangs around where Janan and I live, and we talk to her all the time. You know, we see her and ask her how she's doing, you know, and I ran into her this morning. She was telling me how cold she was last night, you know, because of the rain, and she was going to head to the VO today to see if she could get in.
VOA.
So VOA, to see if she could get a place to stay. And, you know, she was telling me about a motorhome she used to have years ago. And I'm not one to ask things unless they want to share, because it's not my business unless they want to share it with me. But I'm going, yeah, gosh, it sounds like, you know, you had some pretty good things going on in your life, and now here you're walking around with a backpack. And just the other day,
what happened?
she showed us a bottle of juice, and she was right up front with it. She goes, yeah, I went dumpster diving and found this, and it smelled still pretty fresh, and so she's like, I'm so grateful to get some juice in me. And it was just breaking my heart, thinking, gosh, what happened in this woman's
what
life
got you to this point?
to put her? So, you know, does she want to be there? I don't know. Maybe she does. There are some that are happy where they're at, but that's their choice. It's not for us to judge them.
Right.
You know, and I don't think, I mean, as a spiritual person, I mean, God could judge us with all kinds of things right now, and so could Jesus, because I tell you what, I have not lived a perfect life by all flipping means, and I doubt I will the rest of my life, you know, and we're not here to live our perfect life. You know, we're here to make these mistakes, but we're here to learn by them, and by judging others, you're just judging yourself. That's how I look at it, and for those of you listening, you can either agree with me or disagree with me. But
I always say there's one judge, and it's not me, and thankfully, because I hate to have that responsibility.
Oh yeah,
You know?
Can you imagine if we get everybody in a room and you got to judge every single one of them just off of their looks?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be wrong on every single one.
Right.
I know you would. It would be 100% zero.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
yeah, Tennille, thank you so much for coming on the show and
thanks for
sharing
having
your
me.
story, and thanks for reaching out to me and saying, hey, I don't know if you knew, but and I'm like, gosh, this is great.
Well, I think it's great what you're doing. I think, you know, it's pretty inspiring because, like I said, I've been through all this stuff, and I always think, you know, I probably should have done something to help others, you know. And so I look at you and I'm like, Al is a pretty great guy, right? Like, he's had this hard time with his wife dealing with addiction, and he's stuck by her side, and I'm sure that hasn't been easy. And, you know, thankfully you've come a long way, and now you guys are both here trying to help others, and I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support. And so before we go off or get off the air here, on your bio, you're talking about all these things that you do.
Yes.
If somebody's got a wedding coming up or a special event, or gosh, school dances are going right now. I mean,
back in the swing.
how can they find you and say, I mean, I had our class reunion last Saturday. I should have got a hold of you and said, hey, can you do some makeup to make me look even younger? And the reason why I'm saying that is because of our 30th or something, one of my buddies who we've known each other since we were 9 years old, he showed up as soon as he walked in. I'm like, what the hell did he do to his hair?
Uh-oh.
So he dyed his hair. So I'm like, dude.
But it looked really fake. It looked like he was a Halloween and he dyed it black.
It's like,
Shoot.
don't do that again. Don't do that
Yeah.
again. But yeah, I was just joking by saying I should have called you to have you do my makeup before the reunion. But yeah, how could somebody find you?
Yeah, so B by T Design. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have a website, which is also on my Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So yeah, you can shoot me a direct message. My email's on my website. So yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to help. Like I said, sell products. I sell Mary Kay. I just like to help people look and feel better about themselves. And one thing I really love about my profession is not only do I sell things and like make you feel better, but I'm sure everyone's heard like a beautician is kind of like your therapist, right? I know I love that people open up to me, and I get to hopefully in some small way, you know, help them with their lives or their problems feel better. And I actually like that more than I like probably doing the hair and makeup and all of that. But the fact that they feel better about themselves helps me as well. So
Yeah. Well, and it gives them somebody to talk to that they trust. So apparently they trust you, because we say on the show all the time, if you need help, you know, if family doesn't work or certain friends, find somebody that you can trust. And that's what we love about doing this show too, because we give a safe space here for people to come out and share. There's no judgment here. There's no reason to judge, because I could be judged just as much as I could judge somebody else. But yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yep, and that's what I love about it. I don't judge them, and you know, I get to build that relationship because they hopefully keep coming back for different things and talking to me, and I get to learn a lot about them. And so
okay, so what's your website?
It is Tennille JT. Well, it's
okay.
I'm trying to think of what it is.
Well, if you can't think of it right now, because sometimes I know when people get kind of put on the spot, they go blank. But make sure that you get that, because when this airs, I want to be able to have that down below so people know where to find you. You know, send over your Instagram handle and your Facebook stuff and your website, so that way it's there. So when people see this episode and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got a wedding coming up, or a high school reunion or whatever, or a dance, then they know right where to go to find you.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'll send that over.
Okay. Well, again, Tennille, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Very grateful to have you and come on the show and share your story for sounds like the first time. Which is really cool. We get a lot of that. A lot of first time people coming on and sharing things. And babe, thanks for being here. Yeah, that's the first time I've said that here on the show. Babe. Hey, babe. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. And everybody, again, thank you so much for your support, your love, and your kindness. Again, none of this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for all our sponsors, Resilience Talk Network. So guys, thank you. Keep watching, man. We've got so many great episodes that are coming up. I mean, it's just nonstop. I mean, seriously, I was on the phone with somebody right before we came to the studio who really wants to be on our show. I mean, she was like,
I can't wait for that one.
Please get me on as soon as you can,
which
is really cool. Yeah. It's a heartbreaking one. It really is. It's a heartbreaking one, but it's a very good, powerful story. So guys, we want to wish everybody a wonderful week. Be safe out there. Again, find somebody, if you're struggling with something, find somebody that you can trust, talk to. Just find the help that you need. We all need it. We all need support in one way or another. We're going to leave you with this. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything.